Well, it's gotten to that time of year. We finally get to rank all of the 2025 animated movies. And I'm gonna be quite honest, this was a hard list. There was a lot of good ones out of here, and there were a lot of smash successes for animation this year, like Zootopia 2, and a movie no one saw coming, Neza 2, still being the highest grossing movie of this year. It most likely will be taken away by Avatar, but we'll just have to see. And you can't forget movies such as Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle, and Chainsaw Man, breaking records and not only showing that anime movies can be on the same caliber as major Hollywood blockbusters, also sets it in the mainstream, finally. And not just those, there was a lot of great movies. But there were some stinkers, I'm not gonna lie, there were some pretty bad ones. It was easy to figure out the bad ones and the good ones, but the number one was the hardest. I had a lot of fun making this video, and let me know your rankings down below. But let's get started with the very last movie. I'm not gonna talk about this movie very long. One, I simply just do not like this movie, and two, the YouTube monetization overlords are looking at me very closely. I cannot tell you how many videos have been taken down because of this movie. But it was done by Sony Pictures Animation, and did come from a director that has done Samurai Jack of all things, so I guess I'm obligated to somewhat talk about it. Sony Pictures is fixed. Now, this movie was on my radar for quite a bit. One, this movie was 2D animated, and also coming from the creator of Samurai Jack and Primal, two amazing shows, and it was going to be traditionally animated. So this was kind of my cup of tea. But then I heard about what the plot was going to be about, and then I was a little worried. And the best way I can explain this without being literally attacked by YouTube monetization is by this simple explanation of the plot. Young dog has two oranges. The young dog gets a little too wild with his oranges. The young dog finds out that he's going to be losing his oranges soon. Young doggy is depressed. Him and his friends cheer him up by seeing what he can do with his two oranges for one last night. Yeah, that's all you're getting. I am not getting sniped by the YouTube monetization overlords. But yeah, this movie overall is just not good. I can really only say that the traditional animation style is nice, but everything else I just didn't click with. The humor in this movie just really didn't land at all, and some people kind of like these raunchy types of movies. You got the people that like Sausage Party, which there are aspects of Sausage Party that are funny, but this movie in particular is just not it, in my opinion. I can understand this was a passion project, and it's nice to see 2D animation be brought in a traditional style, but this just was not it. This was not the way to do it. Now, I came to this movie relatively late. This came out while I was in college being a academic weapon, and all I had heard is that a lot of people were crapping on this movie very bad. And I was like, I mean, the style looks interesting. The style looks similar to Coraline, and I loved Coraline. But I've heard lots of things that it leaned into things that, were not gonna be that great. And you know what? I was like, going with an open mind, and yeah, I went in with an open mind, alright. The mindset I came out of this movie was, what did I just watch? And two, I just have to say, I knew this was based off of a book, but I never read the book. But after seeing what the book had in it, I realized this is probably the worst book adaptation I have seen brought to animation. It is so bad. The movie followed its source material for like the first 5 minutes, but then after that, the movie just completely derailed. It's like the writers took a car and went right off a cliff with the story. And the humor is just not my cup of tea in this movie. It felt a bit much, and it just focused on these two characters that do not show up in the book whatsoever. not even a single mention of them in the book. And the movie just felt like it was trying to bring in so many different ideas, but it just wasn't combining well, and none of the characters were really interesting in the movie. I guess I can only really say the Coraline style was a little nice to look at, but that's really just about it. And the movie fell into fetishes that I really am surprised they delved into. You really see on crap posts online, but yeah, this movie really had a thing for butts. Rexplode, what are you doing in this movie, my king?
Influencer.
Smash that subscribe button.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no.
Wait.
The Smurfs movie. This is widely known as a pretty bad movie amongst people, and realistically, this franchise really never had a good movie to begin with. The live-action movies were pretty bad, and this film, well, having a story just does not stick the landing in terms of its plot and its characters. It just is such a forgettable and bad movie. You just add it to the bin of Smurfs movies, which is all of them. But I can say the first trailer when that dropped, oh my goodness, when an influencer Smurf took the internet by storm, surprisingly, he was not in the movie, which is like the one plus I can give this movie. I can say visually it was nice, it was something different they were going with, and there was clear that the people working on this movie clearly were fans of the Smurfs, clearly had a passion for it, but I feel like it was mostly Paramount that was kind of pandering this film down to the most generic animated movie possible. And it's almost like they're trying to be like DreamWorks with their Trolls franchise, which they should not be trying with the Smurfs. It just does not work. Rihanna wasn't the main lead, but her being in the movie was kind of pointless, and her voice acting was not really that great. And us focusing on this Smurf that doesn't really know who he is could have been something of some sort of substance, but it wasn't really anything interesting towards the end and didn't really have that crazy of a payoff. I will say that there were certain sequences that were funny, but it was really just mild chuckles. It was nothing crazy, and this just ends up as a very forgettable movie. It's just not it. I'd be surprised if people are even talking about this next year. Probably not.
Hey honey, I'm back.
Oh, where'd you go?
I just got back from the gym.
Look at you, big guy.
I can't escape this song, even if I tried. The SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants. Isn't it crazy that we got 2 SpongeBob movies in the same year? It's crazy how fast Nickelodeon is pumping out these movies ever since the 3rd one. It's been like one after the other. The Sandy Cheeks movie, the Plankton movie, now this movie. I'm not gonna be surprised if they give Patrick or Mr. Krabs a movie. Don't actually do that, please. But this movie had some sort of thing riding on it, literally just the song, I'm gonna be quite honest. Most people know of this movie because of this song. It's not a good song, it just gets stuck in your head. That's usually what happens for most of Ice Spice's songs, so it did its job. I don't know why she's in the movie, but it did its job. This movie in particular, I was going to review last week, but this video was already being worked on, so I might as well talk about it here. I didn't really like this movie. In terms of SpongeBob movies, it was realistically just okay. It was better than the 3rd movie, and I can certainly say it was better than whatever the Sandy Cheeks movie was, but it mostly plays it safe. I'll say that usually I'm the biggest advocator for the SpongeBob movies to be 2D animated. And when I heard this was going to be 3D, I was a little disappointed, because I'm going to be quite honest, the 1st and 2nd movie had great animation for SpongeBob movies, and I gotta say in this movie, it wasn't that bad. I got used to it, and there were some visuals that were actually really good. One thing I'll say, in the normal Bikini Bottom, it just looked alright, but once they went into the underworld, the movie had great visuals. I'll say it really looked good on the eyes in that aspect, and I'll say the Flying Dutchman was fun in the movie. But it kinda went a little bonkers towards the end. I didn't really like the climax of the movie, it was just fine. It's one of those movies that it exists, it's really mid at best, and in terms of SpongeBob movies, I guess it can go in 4th place, because the 3rd SpongeBob movie on my list in terms of ranking actually was a lot better than I thought it was going to be leading up to the movie, and that movie was the Plankton movie. So this movie was riding off of the movie that came prior, the Sandy Cheeks movie, which was not a great SpongeBob movie at all, so all hope for this movie was pretty down in the dumps. And surprisingly, this movie had also leaked on Twitter. I didn't watch it, I decided to just wait until it released on Netflix, but from what I heard people saying, they said they actually enjoyed the movie, and said it's one of the better SpongeBob movies we've gotten in recent years. And I was like, wait, there's no way that actually is true. And when the movie came out on Netflix and I watched it, I can agree. Yeah, while the animation isn't the greatest in this movie, story-wise, this is a lot better and feels more in line getting to more classic SpongeBob. And on top of that, focusing more on Plankton is a newer story, and we get to see more of Plankton and Karen's dynamic, with Karen knowing that Plankton's plans to seal the secret formula has not been working for years, and knowing that Plankton's neglecting her, she finally takes it up with herself to rule the world. And getting to see SpongeBob and Plankton team up, it's something that's already been done in the 2nd movie, but their dynamic still works. But I do like that even though the movie is fully in this 3D style, we still get to go through a bunch of different animation styles to explain their story, and it's really fun to see. And the jokes do land here. And I'll just say that, in personally my opinion, this feels more in line with the previous SpongeBob movies, and actually is one of the better ones. I still can't believe that we even got this movie and it ended up being good. It's really surprising. But that's just my opinion on the Plankton movie.
I knew that door had a lock on it! And everybody was trying to make me feel like I was losing my mind!
Dire of Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw. Now, the original movies are just classics looking back now. Some of these movies have just spawned memes that keep going to this day, and honestly, they weren't appreciated back then, but now growing up older, they're just great movies. And then Disney started making animated Dire of Wimpy Kid movies. Now, on paper, this didn't sound that bad, but the movies they put out were pretty bad. The first movie they based off of the first book was not good at all, and then the second one based on Roger Rules felt like the biggest slap to the original live-action movie's face I have seen. And the third one wasn't that bad, but it still needed some work. But this movie, actually, I walked out of saying, hey, I actually like that movie. It seems like the movies are slowly getting better. It's not getting to the point where it gets to the point of the original live-action movies. No, you cannot replace this family. But if they stay like this going forward in the next few movies, because they plan to adapt more of the books, I'll stay in tune and keep watching these movies. But it's probably for the best that they stay animated and don't go live action, because the actors won't have to age. And, Disney, don't ever try making another live action movie if you're gonna do whatever the long haul was. Because if you do...
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
Now, this movie I had heard about, but there wasn't much buzz around it. I mean, In Your Dreams sounded like an interesting concept, and I'll be realistic here, watching the movie, it was cool seeing all these different worlds brought to you in dreams. But ultimately, it's just a movie that I've seen basically before with lots of story tropes, even story beats that I've seen already done before. And while I'll say entertaining the dynamic between the sister and brother, I'll just say that it's really just okay. Not saying the movie is bad in any right, I'd say it's worth a watch, but as a Netflix animated movie, it's just alright. Most of the time, you've seen these things done before, and even DreamWorks had released a Dream movie the year prior, Orion in the Dark. But this, it's just fine. It's interesting, there's a few funny moments, but overall, it's just okay. Now, I feel bad for this movie. This movie ended up being the lowest grossing Pixar movie of all time, and realistically, the movie wasn't even bad at all. And honestly, this movie was already stuck in development hell. This movie was supposed to come out a year prior, but then a director change happened, and then it was really just caught in between, and Pixar kinda knew that this movie wasn't gonna do too well, so they basically sent it out to die in June and only started marketing it like 2 weeks in advance, and that's just not how it works. It's getting so bad that I'm pretty sure Pixar is now moving their films to release in March, because original films seem to not be doing well in June. Or it could just be, to market your movies, but there's that too. But this movie in particular had a good story. It had that Pixar feel towards the end, and the world they brought into space was really great visually. I was invested in this movie, and this movie's score was just great. It's rare that I see like a movie that takes place in space to really bring you into it with the score. This one definitely does. But you can definitely tell there were some changes in development, especially from the earlier trailers, that it feels like this wasn't the original movie we were supposed to get, but it still has that Pixar feel towards the end, and I walked out of it enjoying it. This movie was a blast. I rarely talk about it, but I love the Predator movies, and bringing this into animation was such a brilliant idea, and the execution of it is just great. This is a must-watch if you're a fan of the Predator or even Alien franchises. Bringing all these different eras and bringing a Predator into it is just amazing, and the style and the fight scenes, it's all just amazing. I can't say enough. Just go watch this movie if you're a fan of it. I don't like this movie. No, I'm just kidding, I do. But I hate the fact that I walked out of this movie looking like this. But no, this movie was great, and it's insane that I did not know this movie existed. There was almost no buzz about it. This movie came out in May, and I am just now finding out about it. That just shows you how bad Netflix is with their marketing. And one coming across this movie, it was just gorgeous. It's rare you get to see Korean animation on Netflix. I mean, it had 2 bangers this year, but overall, this wasn't necessarily the type of movie I usually watch. I don't really cover many rom-coms, and don't really watch them that much. But this movie, especially with its concept, is just so out there and unique that it did draw me in. Set in a 2051 South Korea, focusing on these 2 characters, 1 an astronaut and 2 a musician, who both have grief, both have ambitions, and both build up this chemistry over the course of the movie, is just really, really nice to watch. And the music really brings you into it. The soundtrack on this movie is phenomenal. And this animation, and you can tell there's some sequences where they use rotoscope. There's so many different aspects that change throughout this movie. And I don't want to spoil what goes on in this movie. It was really emotional towards the end, and it actually really got you thinking things were going to happen, but it covering the difficulties of a long-distance relationship definitely hit home for a lot of people, I can tell. But this is definitely a must-watch. I just cannot say anything more about this movie. This just needs to be seen. This is a movie that needs no introduction, and honestly, this movie was just straight heat. This movie I'm not going to get too deep into the plot with because this deserves to be watched. Ne Zha 2 is an amazing thrill ride. The action in this film is some of the best I've seen done in 3D animation, and the original film did that, but this film took it up to another level, and I feel so bad that I did not see this in theaters. Seeing it on a TV screen did not do it justice. Honestly, seeing Chinese animation get this far to being the #1 movie this year, I'm pretty sure this year is going to end with this being the #1 movie, and it's rightfully deserved. A lot of people did not know what this movie was when it started breaking records and hitting the news like crazy, but this definitely is worthy of a watch. It's kinda hard to explain if you haven't watched the first movie, but this is definitely worth the watch. I was told to prepare for this movie, and by manga readers telling me that Reze arc was going to be something I would remember, I had to mentally prepare myself. And it didn't work. But this movie was great. The Chainsaw Man series is already great on its own, and getting a theatrical film based on this arc was just amazing, and it takes you on an emotional ride. The standout character definitely from this movie is Reze. I think majority of people can say that. And I do have to say one thing. This movie had a $4 million budget. Yes, that's great for the movie making over $100 million, but this studio is known for not paying their animators and the people that work on this movie and the series. Pay your animators, pay your team. Oh my god. Because the action sequences in this movie was just amazing. But yeah, Reze is the main focal point. She is the heart of this movie. And seeing Denji and Reze's emotional journey they go across this film really hits you hard at the end and leaves you thinking after the movie. Both Denji and Reze, you could already tell also from the trailers that Reze was leading Denji on the entire time. But the way they do it is just a phenomenal scene in terms of emotional impact, but you can tell that Reze and Denji did have feelings for each other, regardless of Reze trying to lead him on. And the stuff they do, like them both not really having a normal life, used as tools for other people. Like the scene where they go to the school and go to the pool, finally getting to enjoy themselves, because realistically, they are teenagers. And there was a lot of things in the movie that were show don't tell, and it was just really great adding to the story. But the visuals on this movie were just phenomenal. Another thing to make you pay your team. I know you have the money for it, especially after this film's success, they need to be paid for their work. But the sound design was just phenomenal. Once we got towards the climax and the Bomb Devil came out and Chainsaw Man and them went at it, the sound design was just phenomenal. I don't know if it was just my theater, but I was fully invested in it. As soon as Chainsaw Man got on the Shark Devil, it felt like you were on an amusement park ride with how they were going in that tornado. It was just so much fun in this movie. And towards the end, yeah, this really had a bad emotional impact on most people watching the movie. They were just heartbroken. Because Reze did fall in love with Denji, and Denji told Reze to meet him at a coffee shop at the end of the movie, and thinking that Reze wouldn't actually show up, Reze says that she won't, Reze does show up, and it makes it seem like, oh, they're finally gonna— nope! This bitch had to shoot her right in the head. I do not see the appeal for Miss Makima at all. But, getting off topic, Chainsaw Man Reze arc was a great movie, and it's a must-watch for all fans of the show. This movie was just straight gas. I need this movie back on some sort of streaming platform, because Crunchyroll said that this movie won't hit streaming until April of 2026. You cannot make people wait that long for this great of a movie. But Demon Slayer Infinity Castle was a very hyped up movie for most Demon Slayer fans, and nobody expected this movie to be such a smash hit, not just for the franchise and anime movies in general, but as a major blockbuster. This movie beat out Superman. I cannot believe that, but it's rightfully so. This movie was amazing. Now, yes, to be fair, you have to watch the series to understand this movie, because it jumps you right into things. But the animation is phenomenal, and this is really pushing it for 2D animation. I was just in awe of these fight scenes, especially the Zenitsu fight and the Tanjiro versus Akaza fight. And I will say, this movie does have a lot of backstories, but that is a bunch of the heart of the movie, especially Akaza's backstory. That movie is really, really sad. Does it justify his actions? Not 100%, but now you will kind of understand where he's coming from, and it just elevates the movie so much. I just enjoyed Akaza as a character a lot more after that movie, and it was just so hype with all these fight scenes. And at first a lot of people were skeptical about turning the final arc of the anime into 3 movies, but if it's gonna be of this caliber, sure, go ahead, keep them coming. And the next movie will be in 2027, so we're gonna have to wait a while. But this is just a must watch. It is amazing. Yeah, this was great. Looney Tunes has been one of my favorite animated franchises growing up. I've loved the Space Jam movies, and especially Daffy Duck. So when I found out they were going to be giving him a movie with Porky Pig, I was so excited. And it was kind of bad, the movie was stuck in development hell for a little bit. But then when it finally came to theaters, this instantly became my favorite Looney Tunes movie, and still is. I think the funniest movie I've watched all year. It still captures the same Looney Tunes-esque feel with its humor and with all the things, the crazy things that happen in the movie. It feels like classic Looney Tunes and that we never left. And it's so bad because Warner Brothers is treating this franchise like trash, removing it off of their platforms, saying that, oh, this movie isn't gonna do well. When, for its budget, the movie did okay, and we finally are now. I recorded that back then, but now we are now getting Coyote vs. Acme next year. Thankfully, this movie's word of mouth did well enough. But the traditional animation in this movie is just great, and I think this is the most laughs I've heard at an animated movie in a very long time, and it wasn't just from kids, grown adults laughing at these jokes. It was just great. Daffy and Porky's dynamic was just the heart of this movie, and if future Looney Tunes movies are gonna be like this, keep them coming. The bad guys too from the trailers I could tell was gonna be a fun time, and after I had watched the film, yes, it was a thrill ride watching this movie. And one thing this movie does with its animation is that it really brings you into it with its camera movements, and I thought that was really great with all the chase sequences, with all the fight scenes. It really felt intense with this movie, and there were good surprises here and there, and I think just the dynamic with all the bad guys is just so entertaining to watch. And then the final sequence is definitely the highlight of the movie when they're on top of the spaceship. And it just feels so cinematic when they're up there with the lighting and everything. It's really hard to describe, but it was just such a fun watch, and DreamWorks just hasn't failed with their sequels, and this is no different. This movie is very rewatchable, and I just had a great time. And the villain in this movie I like a lot better than the previous movie. I feel like they were a little more intimidating and brought a lot more to the story, but that's just my thoughts. Now this movie is the complete opposite. I wasn't too sure from the trailers if this movie would be good, because, I mean, Disney sequels haven't been turning out that great. Last year we had Moana 2, Zootopia was one of my favorite Disney movies, and if they had messed this up, I was gonna be really disappointed. And I still cannot believe that Disney made a really good sequel out of this. This comes close to the original. I'm still deciding whether I prefer this movie or the original. Zootopia 2 deepened the world, which I had already enjoyed so much in the first film, and gave it a lot more lore. Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde's dynamic only amplifies in this movie, and it's just great banter between them, and it's just like a good, feel-good buddy cop movie. And one thing I'll say is that what Disney brings to the table with this movie is that it's so expansive with what they do, all these different biomes, all these different animals that we see in this film, especially with all the reptiles and everything. And I'll say the villain in this movie, I actually wasn't expecting. I am really good with figuring out, yeah, this is gonna be the villain in the animated movie. The animated movie usually sprinkles it in pretty easily. Like with the first movie, it was like a surprise, but it wasn't really anything crazy. But with this movie, it was really, really surprising. And I very much enjoyed this character more as a villain than the previous movie. Is the music better? No, I'll say the original takes that cake. But overall, with a story, with the characters, I really did enjoy this movie. And hopefully Disney learns from this, and with their other films, make good sequels. I'm looking at you, Frozen 3. You already fumbled the second, don't go fumbling the third. I'm watching you. This movie needs no introduction. K-pop Demon Hunters. This is a film nobody, and I mean nobody, thought was going to take the world by storm by becoming Netflix's biggest movie, not just animated, biggest movie ever, and have its music break multiple records across the board. It was this movie just kept doing it. And I really can't believe that Sony gave this movie to Netflix, but had no idea what this film was going to become by doing that. But overall, the film is just an amazing watch, from beginning to end. This movie knew what was up from the beginning. Once they jumped out of the plane playing How It's Done, I knew I was gonna have a blast with this movie. The characters are so infectious and fun to watch. Zoe, Mira, and Rumi, they're all just great with each other. And I have to say that the animation is just phenomenal. And coming from Sony Animation, once I saw that label, I was like, okay, this is understandable. But it really brings you in, and I'm surprised that they almost thought about making a live-action movie out of this. It wasn't gonna work. This movie just has a special charm to it with the way it animates things that it was not gonna be able to be translated well, and I'm glad they denied that. But this movie's soundtrack, oh my god. It had the majority of the people that summer in a chokehold with its soundtrack. And me including, I was listening to the soundtrack till about October. Then I dropped it. FNAF was coming out. I had to change my priorities. Literally, my Spotify Wrapped was taken over by this movie. And feel it. I kind of regret that song now. But overall, this movie was just bombastic fun with its characters and its songs and its story. I will say there were some predictable parts of the movie, but it didn't hinder it as badly as I thought it was going to be the first watch. I still really enjoyed it, and it's definitely one of my favorites from this year. And Sony Animation, yeah, this is one of my favorites for sure, next to Spider-Verse. And now, coming down to our very last movie. If you've watched my videos for quite a while, you pretty much know what my number one is going to be.
We're flying to Philadelphia! Oh, hell no! That's hell no!
Now, to most new viewers, that would most likely be the reaction. Chili Chivy, how is DreamWorks' Dogman about a dog that combines his body with a cop, your favorite animated movie of 2025? For old viewers, you'd see why if you take a look at my video catalog. But this movie meant a lot to me, not just as a film, but honestly, growing up on these books as a kid. I have all of them, and growing up, getting these books at book fairs, seeing what new stories that would be told in this wacky, crazy world really hit home with me with this movie. It was a perfect adaptation of the books here. I haven't seen a book be brought to the screen this well since Captain Underpants, and that was done by Dave Pilkey. What do you know? But with this film, it captures its style so well, one to one. The humor stays the same, the characters still bring you in, and the movie has a lot of heart that I wasn't expecting. I knew the books had them, but for it to be translated onto film still did so well. Some of these shots in the movie just look amazing, and the movie just has so much rewatch value. There's so many Easter eggs that I picked up months after watching the movie, and it's just such a great watch seeing it all come together, and you can tell that the team at DreamWorks had a true passion for these books, and seeing it brought to life still is just surreal to me. And this is a movie I've talked about on the channel for a pretty long time, back in 2023 when next to no one was talking about this movie. And I definitely have to give kudos to Crazy Gamer Inc. Me and him pretty much started the discussion back up in 2023, and from there, it's been just covering news about that movie. And getting up to the point of release, it still felt surreal that it was actually out. Honestly, both of us kind of thought the movie was in development hell, or might have been cancelled. And I'm so glad that they didn't, because this was just another great DreamWorks adaptation that really stuck the landing. The animation was great, the characters were great, the music were great. The movie has flaws. Almost every film on this list had some sort of flaw, and it didn't hinder this movie as bad. I'm happy with the film we got, and I'm really hoping we get to see more of this franchise in future years. The channel would not be in the place it is today if it wasn't for this movie, and I just have so much praise to give for it. And the fact I get to talk about these movies online and there's an audience out there that is supporting me time and time again really warms my heart to see. And there you have it. That is my ranking of all the animated movies in 2025 that I've ranked. I can't believe I've done 3 of these, and there's plenty more to come. I didn't get to thank you guys now, but reaching 70,000 subscribers is a crazy number that younger me couldn't even dream of back in 2022 when I was still doing mini commentaries and gaming videos. Getting to 10,000 was surreal to me. But the fact that that many people like my videos really just keeps me going. And all the amazing people that I've met on this platform and have helped make my avatar, my thumbnails, all those things, I really have to thank them for that. And all I have to say left is thank you. Okay, now enough of the mushy crap. Let's get to 2026 and leave the memes behind and say goodbye to 6-7. Okay, goodbye.
Freddy Fazbear.